I would like to move to South America, Larry, and this is a subject that we've talked about a couple of times in the channel together here. Um, I have been seeing some moves on the United States towards Brazil, especially. Uh, and we have discussed this situation. I mean, just recently, we have some news in Brazil that the US wants to classify some, drug factions as terrorists, you know. And this is interesting because they mentioned two of them, which is the PCC, which is the First Capital Command, and the CV, which is the Red Command, what is called. It's probably the two biggest ones. The CV was more in Rio de Janeiro, the PCC, São Paulo, and
What does
kind of
what
everywhere.
does CV stand for?
Red Command, Comando Vermelho.
Comando
Vermelho
Vermelho. Vermelho is red in Portuguese?
is red, yes.
Oh, Comando Vermelho. Okay.
And PCC is Primeiro Comando Capital. So the capital's first command.
Yeah.
But there's a kind of a minor faction in Rio de Janeiro called the TCP, which is the Third Command Pure. This is the evangelical. Did you heard about this?
No, never.
Any time in your life?
Never heard of. Well, I've seen parallels. This is usually associated with what I'll call religious fringe groups, where they each claim to have the truth. Everybody else is an apostate. Everybody else has fallen away from the truth. We've got the real insight. We've got the direct line to God. And so then they keep breaking off and fragmenting, but they're really deeply committed and believe that they've got the truth and everybody else is living a lie. So, yeah, no, I've seen. So this is now going on within the communists, huh?
Yeah. So this command is it's an evangelical drug dealing cartel.
Yeah.
Summarizing. But they are the owners. They take one big chunk of Rio de Janeiro that they recall it to Israel complex, the complex of Israel. It's a favela bunch of places. This one is not mentioned on the documents that the United States provided, but seeing this, what are the consequences of the United States classifying these drug dealing cartels as terrorist groups in a geopolitical view,
Yeah, it's a meaningless political gesture. Doesn't change anything whatsoever. Look, the United States has sufficient laws on the books to deal with drug trafficking and money laundering. And, any of these groups that are involved with this kind of drug trafficking, the way to go after them is to go after their money. But the reason the United States doesn't go after the money is so many U.S. corporations are up to their ass in handling that money. So, they don't want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. My consulting firm, Berg Associates, right when we launched back in 1998, one of the very first jobs we took on was building a case. Could have been a criminal case, but we had to do it as a civil racketeering case against the tobacco and liquor companies, R.J. Reynolds, Philip Morris, Japan Tobacco, British American Tobacco. They all were taking drug money knowingly. I mean, good God, we had documentary evidence of Philip Morris executives that would fly into Venezuela, and then they would cross the border up in the northwest corner of Venezuela and the northeast corner of Colombia, and they go to a little town called Maicao. And in my cal, there was a senator, a guy named Santander Lopez Sierra. He was known as the Marlboro Man because the Philip Morris executives had actually gone to Colombia and filmed the Marlboro Man commercial, the big rugged cowboy, except with this little fat bitch. I mean, he was a roly-poly, but he was a vicious monster. He'd killed like 24 people, and he was running the smuggling operation of cigarettes into the black market in Colombia. And these Philip Morris executives went to meet with this guy. Now he was a graduate of the Southern Illinois University, a Saluki, which is a dog. And when he met with these Philip Morris executives, he gave them bags of cash and third-party checks and U.S. postal money orders. Well, U.S. postal money orders aren't supposed to be overseas like that, but there they were. We had extensive financial records, copies. To his credit, he was good about documenting, what he did. One of the very first case we worked on was the Bank of New York Russian money laundering case. I've got all the Russian bank documents on CD-ROMs here within about 3 feet of me. Well, we had, as we went through those records, we found the records of the deposits that these Philip Morris executives were making into these Russian banks in order to launder the money. So the point is, the U.S., and it happens, John Deere, I guarantee it's happening to Nike, Under Armour. Pick your product. There's so much drug money that businesses are crazy if they don't take it from a business standpoint. So, we're going to call these groups terrorists. Great. What are you going to do? You going to launch a bombing raid? No. You going to send in U.S. Special Operations Forces? No. It's show. It's kabuki theater.